Hello everyone. Earlier we were discussing regarding the sequencing of the proteins by using the Edmonds method. And here we can also perform the sequencing of the proteins by using the mass spectrometry. Earlier mass spectrometry used to analyze the small molecules to determine their masses. And here the small those molecules are which are called as the analytes, which are ionized in the vacuum. And here the mass of the those ions are going to be introduced into the electric field and the magnetic field, and the path of these molecules under the electric field or the magnetic field is a function of their mass to charge ratio. And here under the electric field or the magnetic field, these molecules are going to be moves based on their mass to charge ratio. And based on this one, the mass spectrometry was you used to analyze the mass of the molecules. And here the apart from that one, the mass spectrometry, it is also emerged as an important technique for characterizing and sequencing polypeptides. And here, as I told you earlier, this technique, it is going to accurately measures the mass to charge ratio for the ions which are in the gas phase. And here the molecules are converted into the gas phase. Under the gas phase, it is going to create it with the charges. And here the based on the mass to the charge ratio, it is going to move under the electric and the magnetic field. And here the based on this one, the mass of the molecules are estimated. And here the earlier the macromolecules such as proteins from the nucleic acid could not be analyzed under the by using the mass spectrometry, because and here the molecules has to be converted or the analyzed in the gas phase. And here for this purpose, heating and other treatment are needed to transfer a macromolecule molecules into the gas phase. And here it is resulted into the rapid decomposition of the macromolecules. And here this problem was overcome by using two techniques in 1988. They are nothing but the electrospray ionization, and one more is matrix assisted laser desorption ionization. And here under the electrospray ionization, the protein sample is injected into the small capillary tube, which is maintained at the high electric field around 4000 daltons. And here under this high electric field, the solvent will be rapidly evaporates. At the same time, the protein molecules are going to be multiply charged or multiply ionized. And here when it is going to pass through this small capillary, it is going to form the fine mist of charged droplets. And here these fine mist of charged droplets, now they are going to enter into the vacuum. And here and this vacuum, it is going to move because of their differences in their mass to charge ratio, and it will be detected in the detector. And here this is how we can able to ionize the protein sample by using the electrospray ionization. And here the second technique is matrix assisted laser desorption ionization. And here in this case, the protein sample is mixed with the laser absorbing matrix on a solid surface. And here on placing onto the solid surface, it is exposed to the short beam of high intensity laser light. When it is going to expose to the laser light, and here the protein will be ionized, at the same time the matrix will be completely evaporates. And here here in this case also the protein will be multiply charged, and it is going to move in the vacuum. And here it will be the mass to charge ratio of these different multiply charged molecules are going to be uh, detected in the detector. And here by using these two techniques, matrix electrospray ionization and the matrix assisted laser desorption ionization, we can able to ionize even the small or the macromolecules. And here the one kind of the mass spectrometry used to sequence the polypeptide chain is by using the method called as the tandem mass spectrometry. It is used to sequence short stretches of a polypeptide chain. And here in this case, how we can able to analyze the mass spectrum, sequence the polypeptide chain by using the mass spectrometry is. And here in this case, the protein sample is first treated with the different kind of proteases or the chemical reagents. And here it is going to create the shorter peptides. And here now this mixture of shorter peptides are injected into the device which is having the two mass spectrometers in tandem. And here in the first mass spectrometer, it is going to select the one type of the peptide ion, because the injected sample, it will be having the many different shorter peptides. And here under the first mass spectrometer, it is going to select the first the one type of the peptide ion, ion of interest. And here this peptide ion of interest, now it will be passed into the second component. It is called as the collision cell. Under the collision cell, the peptide ion, it will be exposed or imported with the inorganic atoms such as the helium. The energy imported by the helium ion, it is going to fragment the peptide ion into the smaller fragments in such a way that the helium ion, it is going to the breaks the only at the one peptide bond in the peptide chain, so that here it is going to further fragments the peptide ion. And here the molecular masses of the numerous charged fragments so produced are then determined in the second mass spectrometer. In the collision cell, the peptide ion is exposed to the helium gas, and here this helium, it is going to cause the further fragmentation. It is going to breaks the peptide bond only at the one place in the peptide fragment, and it is going to further fragments the peptide ion. The molecular in the next step, these fragments which are formed, now it will be moved on to the second mass spectrometer. And here in the second mass spectrometer, the molecular masses of the numerous charged fragments are determined. And here, by comparing the molecular masses of the successively larger members of family of fragments, the molecular masses, and therefore the identities of the corresponding amino acid sequences, it can be determined. And here, by doing so, we can able to sequence the entire polypeptide chain. And here in this case, the computerization of the mass comparison process has reduced the time required to sequence the shorter polypeptide chain to only few minutes. Under the within a few minutes only, we can able to determine the mass of these fragments. And here, apart from this one, this mass spectrometer, by using this mass spectrometry, we can also able to sequence the peptides which are having the different modifications, such as the one which is having the chemically blocked N-terminal residue, and it is also helpful to characterize the other post translational modifications, such as addition of phosphate or the carbohydrate groups. So here all those modifications also, it can be identified and determined under the mass spectrometer. And here in this case, we can see, as I explained you earlier, so here it is the organization of the tandem mass spectrometer. And here in this case, in the first case, it will be having the electrospray ionization source. And here under this source, the peptide fragments are first ionized, and it will be transferred into the first mass spectrometer. And here under the first mass spectrometer, the sample will be having the many different kind of peptide fragments. And here, out of all these different peptide fragments, the one of peptide fragment will be selected, and it will be transferred, or it will be moved into the second compartment. It is called as the collision cell. Under the collision cell, that peptide fragment will be exposed to the helium, and here it will be further broken down into the smaller fragments. And here in this case, under the collision cell, so here the helium, it is going to breaks only the one peptide bond in the peptide fragment. And here, due to this, it is going to create the fragments of different sizes. And here all these different sized fragments are now transferred to the second mass spectrometer, which is called as the MS2. And here in the MS2, or in the second mass spectrometer, the mass to charge ratio of all these fragments are going to be detected, and it can be analyzed. And here, after the analysis under the mass spectrometer, how we can able to use further the sequencing. And here all in this case, we need to remember here is, so here all the fragments which are formed in the collision cell, so here in that case, so here the helium, it is going to cleave only at the one peptide bond. So here in such a way that it is going to create the fragment. So here all these fragments they will be having the difference of only the one amino acid at a time, and here by doing so we are going to get the differently sized fragments. Here when you are going to analyze the all these, or when you are going to detect the mass of all these fragments under the detector means, so here we can able to get the different peaks of all these fragments. So here all these fragments, and here all these fragments they'll be having the differences of only the one amino acid. In this case we need to remember here is the successive the mass of the successive peak. So here they'll be having the difference of only one amino acid. So here the difference between the two neighboring peaks. So here the mass of the difference in these two neighboring peaks, it will be having only the difference of only one amino acid. So here if you are going to subtract these two neighborly present mass of these peaks means, we can able to detect the what exactly the amino acid is, because all the amino acid, the masses of the all the amino acid will be different. And here if you are going to subtract the neighboring the mass of the neighboring peaks means, so here the whatever the value we get, that value will be the mass of the only the one type of amino acid, because all the different amino acid they will be having the different masses. So here based on this one we can able to deduce the sequence of the short peptide chain, and here up to the 21 residue we can able to sequence the peptide by using the tandem mass spectrometer. And here this is how we can able to sequence the short peptide under the mass spectrometer. But here one of the disadvantage in this case is nothing but and here the two amino acids such as the isoleucine and the leucine, the mass of these two amino acids, it is not going to vary much. So here we cannot able to distinguish between these two amino acids because the mass of these two amino acids, it is not going to vary significantly. That is one of the drawback of the tandem mass spectrometer. And here after this one, the final step of the determination of the primary structure of the proteins is nothing but the determination of position of the disulfide bonds. How we are going to determine the where exactly the disulfide bonds are there. And usually in the proteins, the disulfide bonds are going to be found between the cysteine residue. And how we are going to determine the where exactly the are between the which residues the disulfide bonds are formed. And here this is done by cleaving the sample of the native protein under the condition that leave disulfide bond intact. And here in this case it is the native protein is treated in such a way that the disulfide bonds, it should be remain intact. The resulting peptide fragment are then separated by using the reverse phase HPLC. And here in this case, the disulfide linked peptide fragments are easily identified because each such linkage, two of the original peptide fragments will be replaced by the larger one. And here the disulfide linked fragments are then subjected to Edman degradation, although such fragments yield 2 PTH amino acid in each step of this process initially, and their location within the predetermined amino acid sequence of the protein are readily surmised, or it can be guessed, thereby establishing the position of the disulfide bonds. So here this is going to complete the aspects which is related to the determination of primary structure of proteins. Thank you.